Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lords Gaming YouTube channel. My name is Joseph Repko. I'm the senior editor at lordsgaming.net, and today I have two very special guests in the room with us today, Miss Kaz Adams from the Digital Extremes Warframe team, and Marco Hasmann. How have you both been doing today?
Great. How are you?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Doing good. And I just kind of wanted to start with, what you both do for Digital Extremes, and just kind of start from there.
Sure. Yeah, so I am the weapons art lead on the Warframe project. Been here for almost 9 years now.
Okay.
Marco, associate art director on Warframe.
And how long have you been with the company, Marco?
Oh,
and get a good
5-6 years.
5-6 years. Okay. So you guys have been kind of around for a while, like before Deviri and everything else. Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Okay, so obviously we know that the Techrot Encore update is coming in just a few short weeks, and there's a lot to kind of learn about, like new weapons, the Technocyte Coda. So I kind of wanted to start with kind of the Technocyte weapons themselves. Let's start with what made you all kind of land on the 10 choices for the ones that kind of got the updated versions, like the Pox or Hema, and then kind of start with, and then after that kind of work our way up to the new ones.
Well, for the modular ones, it might be a little bit of a boring answer, but we wanted to have like an equal assortment of the primary, secondary, melee groups. And we've never done like skins really on Infested stuff. So we've got all of our old Infested content that we were so excited to give a lift to. So we just went through and just tried to find like what ones are the coolest to put stuff onto, and went from there. So it's not anything like super deep lore or anything. It's just, yeah.
I mean, I did notice that there's no turrets, so I'm kind of wondering if there was a gameplay decision. Like, it already has a kind of busted incarnate adapter, so let's not make something that will power creep everything else.
I wouldn't know about that side of things. So I deal with the art side rather than the stats side. But yeah, from our standpoint, it was like, what's the coolest looking stuff to do?
And Mark, how do you feel about the 10 weapons that gained kind of the update? Like, how involved are you with them?
In a similar way, we look at the art part, so having a good selection that offers enough variety to the player as a kit. It's probably the first thing that we look at, and then of course you do have to have a chat with design and with the creative direction if or what the content of the actual weapons that you want to get in are. But me and Kaz specifically, we look mostly follow the art side of things.
Yeah, we're typically involved with like, the art side, but then the design team and stuff, they'll come up with their own suggestions for things based on their experience, and then stats will weigh in, and everyone's got a different angle, and we all trust each other.
Okay, and kind of looking at past, like, kind of like past weapons from like the Lich system, like whenever it came to the Kuva weapons, they kind of have like this voltaic aura to them, and then whenever it came to the Corpus, they had kind of like these holograms to them. When did you guys kind of land on the designs for kind of like the new weapons? Like, what was it kind of like making something that kind of felt 90s themed, or sorry, early 2000s themed? And
yeah, so we already had established a bunch of the characters already by that point, and we wanted to add a lot of the kind of Techrot elements, which were like the speaker drums and the cables and things like that, little cell phones and antennas and stuff like that. But in addition to that, like all of the Kuva Lich and the Corpus Sisters, they had their own kind of unique touch to the skins themselves for the modular pieces, or not modular, the skins. For them, they just had skins. They didn't have any mesh additions, but when we were looking at the Infested stuff, they're already infested. What are you going to do to make it fancier? And I mean, in the early stages, we tried doing like, I don't know, like an iridescent coat or like scales or something like that, but nothing was really feeling quite like it was enough to make it feel specifically like it was special enough to be a Lich weapon. And like, just skins weren't working. So we decided that we would make some modular pieces to add to it, because you kind of need that at a certain point when you've got like speakers. Like you can't just draw a speaker on an infested
Yeah.
weapon. So we went with like kind of a hybrid, and because we went that route, we went a lot simpler with the materials and the effects on everything. Like it's just Techrot stuff instead of having like shiny iridescent stuff or like holograms or whatever. But I think it worked out. It ended up changing the silhouettes in a really nice way. It really added some variety.
Of course, and obviously we have 3 new weapons, kind of like this. What was it, like a shotgun that fires? I think it's like a hand or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm a little.
Yeah, it's like a speaker that's got like claws coming out of it because it's got infestation on it. Yeah.
And what was kind of like, what made you guys kind of land on that, and kind of like the hammer that kind of changes like the head of it whenever it comes to like the gameplay choices that the player will make, like having like spikes instead of something else on it. What was?
So design was figuring out what the special thing was going to be for the weapons early on, and one of their first ideas was a hammer that had like evolving or changing tips on it to match whatever the damage type was. And that was the one out of that group of 3 that I designed, because I was like, oh, I could make this into something crazy, like maybe a scooter, because I'm like motorcycle obsessed now. It's kind of a thing that happened.
Yeah.
I blame 1999, but yeah, I decided I wanted to try and make something crazier than just a blob of meat with stuff sticking out of it, because that's the easiest way to kind of show that sort of thing. But I was like, what if it could spin? Like early on, I was trying to figure out other things like washing machine pieces or something like that. Or at some point I was thinking like a jackhammer that could like have different points on it and stuff like that. Yeah, but it ended up being like scooter just worked because also I'm a big fan of Bloodborne and I like the whirly jigsaw.
I literally played that game all the way through like a couple months ago, and I was just playing it the other night too. So kind of seeing some similarities now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, the boombox one and the drill pistol, those were Carrie suggestions. He was thinking about like, how do you take a normal item from that time period and make it into an infested weapon? And I'm really happy with those choices, like especially the drill one. Oh man, the animations look so good on it. It's so awesome.
Can't wait to see it, because that is a very crazy design. And Marco, how involved were you in kind of like making these 3 new weapons as well?
That just following up the creation process. So from concept to sometime helping Kaz with the modeling and everything.
Okay.
But in this case, as Kaz mentioned, the initial pitch from the 2 shooting weapons were from Carrie. So in that case, you just take from that initial idea and develop further.
Yeah, he helped a lot with critique and keeping everyone going, moving forward, because I was very distracted by the Warframe.
Kaz was busy with Temple.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and before we jump into Temple, I kind of wanted to ask, Temple obviously has their own signature pistol, the Riot 848, and I kind of heard on the dev stream, it's kind of like a little lore tidbit about it, where it has like summon Charlie technology that allows it to, kind of go forth with its bullets and then summon it back. What was it kind of like creating that weapon for them, and how do you feel it's going to synergize with Temple?
Well, we're trying to see what it's like to maybe for bundles of Warframes to bring in pieces that don't necessarily match the Warframe style, because we used to do that a while ago. Like years ago, we would have, like Warframe came out with a Grineer weapon or something like that. And the closer we get to realism and like the more detailed we get on the characters, the harder it is to like match a weapon that's also supposed to be getting a little bit more detail and stuff to it. So we don't want it to look like it's made out of the Warframe. So with this one, we're kind of experimenting, like, what if it came from the environment, the world that the Warframe is in, rather than tied too much to the Warframe. So we went in the direction of, well, we've got other 1999 weapons that have these modular attachments, like kind of modular, like they've been attached to a modern thing to make them its own faction. So like the Skuldra weapons that have all of the goo components added onto them. Well, what if we had like a modern style weapon that has Entrati tech tacked on, kind of like we did with the motorcycle a little bit, and just see how far we can push that sort of thing. And then the design team obviously took that and really kind of focused in on that special attribute of it being the Entrati addition onto it. And yeah, it all came together really nicely by the time we got to the end of it.
Okay, and what kind of I'm not sure if you were involved with this decision, like Riot 848. I'm actually kind of interested in learning like what kind of made that name make sense for Temple's signature weapon.
I have no idea.
Okay.
That would be narrative theme. Yeah,
Okay, I gotcha.
You don't ask an artist to name anything.
And that usually comes much after we are done with the art. So we are
Yeah, that's
kind of
the
out
other
of the
thing.
discussion, but
Yeah,
they always come up with some curious and interesting things.
yeah,
No
they
complaints
always.
here.
There's always something that they're basing it on. There's always like something that grounds it into the world. So someone will know the answer to that, but not us.
I gotcha. So obviously, we have the headliner of the update, Temple, and I kind of wanted to. I obviously heard on their stream like it's been like a 7-year process, kind of like floating around trying to find the perfect place to put them into the game. So what was it kind of like on the art side, kind of making Temple and kind of their abilities and how that all made sense?
Yeah, so I think most artists on the team kind of go through this process where, you know, we're all fans of the game, and what if I made a Warframe? What would I do, or whatever? And you've got like a little list of things, and I've got a little folder that's got a few other ideas in it. But for this one, it was like, what are my favorite things? What would a Warframe look like if it was blank or whatever, you know? And I decided I wanted to try rock and roll. And first I was going for like 80s bands. Like my first sketch was kind of based off of Slash from Guns N' Roses with the hat and everything. But I couldn't quite get it to work. So then I was like, well, what if it also had a puppeteering theme? What if it could also summon like infested demon things? What if it had, you know, like you just go through this list of things, and I had way too many things on it at first. So over time, I kind of picked away at it between tasks or, you know, on free time or whatever, because it was just a little like side project kind of thing. And then when 1999 started to kind of crystallize like what it was going to be, we were like, oh my God, there's going to be a boy band. What if the follow-up update had a rock star in it or something like that? That's it. You can't get any more perfect than that. So we're like,
really
okay,
like my time is now.
Yeah,
it's time
we
to
got
put
to
into
do it. Yeah. So finally, like I had some time to finish it up, and at that point, proto frames were a thing, and I hadn't even thought about making a human version. I was like, oh crap, I gotta do this part too, because I'm not gonna give it to anyone else. No, I'm gonna be greedy, and this is my character. So yeah, I ended up thinking kind of in the same vein, like, who are my favorite rock stars? What fits for 1999? Like, what did I listen to in the 90s? Well, I mean, I listened to like in the 90s, I was listening to 80s rock and stuff, but I was also listening to like ex-Japan and stuff, like Japanese groups. So I was like, well, what would maybe a hybrid of like David Bowie and like maybe a little bit of Tilda Swinton too, and like maybe Hide from ex-Japan, or maybe some Sukizo, I don't know. Like, you know, just going through all of that. And came up with a sketch that I handed off to Nathan on the character team, and he did an amazing job. And I got to show him how to do stage makeup. That was a really fun part.
Okay, and obviously when it comes to Temple, obviously they have their new game mode, so it's kind of like you're kind of seeing like your baby basically get you know, into the hands of, you know, many players whenever Techrot Encore comes out. But you also have the new defense game mode where they're literally going to be hosting their own concert. So you're kind of seeing like them actually
It's so
perform like
cool.
they're. Oh yeah,
It's so cool. Like I think I only started seeing like the animations, like, because I've been so busy, like heads down working on the sculpting side of everything, that I didn't get a chance to see anything until like just before the dev stream, when things were kind of coming into channels that I was looking at, and oh my gosh, it like made my hair stand up. I hadn't seen it animated until then. So cool. I can't wait for people to be able to play with that character. Like, wow. And at that point, you know that it's more than just your own character. Like everything that we make in this game, it's so incredible to watch. Like we have so many talented teams that come in and put their own touch and their own creativity into each one of the different projects and stuff. And so like I did my part on this character, but at the end of the day, it's like everyone's work, and it becomes its own character then. And I can't wait to see like what everything is all together. So I've seen all the bits and pieces, but it's going to be its own thing once it's in the game.
of course, because you also have Lizzie, the literal living, breathing guitar that breathes fire. Like I cannot imagine how cool that was seeing that in action for the first time.
Yep. I haven't even heard the voice lines yet. I can't wait. Like I'm sitting here like a fan. Oh, can't
Number
wait to
one
see
fan
how
of
people
Temple.
like it. Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned the boy band before, so I kind of wanted to jump into the Technocyte Coda of things. So obviously, they had to be delayed out of 1999, and obviously for quality assurance purposes, because it kind of feels like a very unique idea, like an infested boy band, and like at the end of the world. So let's kind of talk about like kind of when it started. Like obviously, I know Minky, rest in peace, obviously worked with the design to make them. But I kind of wanted to know what was it like kind of bringing that into the 1999 update and kind of seeing them come to life.
Well, as you mentioned, the initial idea for the infested version of the boy band was coming from Minky, and the initial pitch was to have them focus on facial features. So where you had one that was more about the eyes, so you had the big eye in the middle, or the long bat ears in one case, or the big grinning mouth.
Yeah.
And as we went forward and actually started defining the human version of those characters, we had more things to play on with. So in that case, you have a clear frontman, Zeke the singer, which is all about the mouth. So we try to connect some of those dots together. And when you had the original sketch from Minky that has the big grinning mouth, let's apply it to Zeke the singer, and maybe he has of course, 1999 tech elements into it. So he has a big microphone stuck into the back of his head, if you ever get the chance to see it. And
I didn't know that. That's actually
yeah, and similarly,
creepy, but I like it.
There's DJ Rom, which is more of a music audiophile guy, and he has always his headphones on and his CD player. Then probably that's the guy that I went with. Had the big bat ears fused into the mic, the headphones, which are still stuck to his head kind of vibe. So you take some elements from that, and we try to dial in some of the elements from the human characters as well.
Yeah, and a little bit with their instruments too. Like, doesn't Drill Bit have like parts of the guitars and stuff?
Yeah, he has pickups stuck to their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And who else? The microphone from Zeke. Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously I'm kind of very interested to see just kind of like how they perform on like the gameplay side. Obviously, I know that's not where you guys are involved with, but kind of like seeing Zeke's like long tentacle arms and the pincers and everything like that one of them has. Like, I was kind of like, how is this going to work as like bosses? Because it's really crazy design. So
I think some of those ideas came from design directly. So they wanted, of course, a certain amount of them needed to be more melee focused and some of them more shooty focused. So you try and again pick the best bet for who fits the team best. And so you have Zeke with the tentacles, and The other melee guy, of course, can be hard drive, which is more of the sporty guy, and with a big TV, giant TV in his head, trying to
Yeah, and then
hit
having
your
like actually
target.
doing like an actual flex and
Yeah.
everything in this
Yeah,
really
again,
cool.
you take some of the elements from the original human version and twist it in a way, and add that 1999 element to it. Try to get a fun infested version to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, and obviously whenever I heard about like the Skull being involved, obviously they have 4 new weapons and everything like that coming. I kind of wanted to know, like, what was it kind of like landing on the 4 choices? We have another auto rifle, I think it's like dual pistols, pair of dual sickles, and a grenade launcher. What kind of made you guys kind of land on those 4 as kind of what to bring forth from that faction?
Well, a lot of that came from what we were aiming for with the actual NPCs, like the enemies and stuff. And we like to have a balance of like primary, secondary, melee stuff. Oh, already?
Yeah, sounds flying by.
Yeah. Yeah, anything specific you want to know about with those?
So kind of like, what made you guys kind of land on like another pair of like dual pistols? Because I'm obviously a big fan of like the akimbo style. Like I played Halo 2 a lot whenever I was a kid, so seeing any chance to kind of like bring that forth in that. So what was kind of like bringing those forward, as well as kind of the grenade launcher?
Well, like the pistols, I don't know if we knew that they would be dual at first or not, but we wanted to base that one off of like all of those weapons were kind of based off of some real world counterparts, and that one was based off of like this space pistol that was like a triple barrel kind of, not barrel, 3 rounds in a magazine kind of thing. So it had this odd shaped chamber.
Kind of like the
And
Bronco to a degree.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but it was based off of a real world one that was like it's very bizarre.
Okay.
And we added a bayonet on it so that we could add some more of that like goo kind of look to it and everything. And yeah, those sorts of things are really fun to think about. Like we like to look at odd weapons in the real world and see if we can find ways to bring them into the game. And we do this with our regular weapons too, but with 1999, we kind of stayed a little closer to what the roots were for the real world counterpart, and that seemed to work out pretty well.
Okay, and obviously, like, I know it comes to designing stuff, like you guys were mostly involved with stuff like the Thermion RPG that I know was probably never going to be making its way as like an actual weapon, but I guess since like it's like overall function was kind of like being there for a tank fight, what was it kind of like designing that specifically? Kind of like the Thermion RPG.
Yeah.
And okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that one was a very late addition. We wanted something for the tank fight for the demo, and we had like a day to put something in. It was a little more than a day, but
Only a day.
It was very short. It might have been 2 days. I don't remember. It was insane though.
The Technocyte version is not the final version that got into the game after.
Yeah, TennoCon. Yeah, we did fix it up a little bit afterwards to put it in, make it a little nicer. One of the problems with that weapon and making it like player playable is that it would need a whole animation set if it was going to be its own thing, because you have to hold it over the shoulder. We don't have anything that does that right now. So right now it can only exist for the tank fight, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be a new weapon type someday.
It kind of reminds you of Cuervo's like Vane, like the heavy weapon that the child Indiviri is kind of like holding in Cuervo's hold. So it kind of reminds you of kind of like a situation like that where you have it and it's there in the game serving a specific purpose, but it never actually makes it into the gameplay side. So
well, never say never.
Yeah, never say never. Okay, and just kind of start wrapping this up, I obviously wanted to ask kind of you both, like, what's kind of like your favorite thing about being in the positions that you are at Digital Extremes? Like, every day you wake up, what's the drive that keeps you going? Like, go ahead. If that's too broad a question, if I need be more specific.
No, like I'm driven by a lot of things here. First of all, this has been a a dream job for me for a long time, like just working on Warframe at all. And I never thought that I would become a lead here, but that became like just such an amazing like personal growth opportunity for me. Like being able to lead a bunch of these talented people, like I feel so lucky being able to give them feedback and help elevate their work and get it into the game and everything. And it's just so rewarding to be on, like having so much variety every day, because I can be concepting something, I could be making something, but I can also be critiquing or scheduling or having discussions about like future updates and things like that. It's just, there's just so much going on and there's so much talent all around us all the time. It's just amazing. It's still a dream job for me, even after almost 9 years of being here.
And Marco?
Well, in my case, I started as a concept artist here. So my main intention at the time was having my footprint in some of the artwork. And now as an associate art director, I get the chance to do a little bit on everything rather than a lot on just a few items. And as Cass said, feedbacks, you try to make the art better. You try to preserve the Warframe's legacy in a way, and the Warframe's original art style alive through the years, which, it's not always easy. You have new hires, you have new styles.
Mm-hmm.
The V-Ray was not a thing when Minky was here, and so you always want to make sure that the initial weirdness and wonkiness of Warframe designs are still alive nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially when we have to go from stuff like Whispers in the Walls, like Deviri and all that kind of stuff, having different settings and totally different tones for everything. So
yep, gotta keep it fresh.
Yep. All right, and I just wanted to say, first and foremost, thank you both very much. This has been a great conversation. It was great sitting down with you for the short time that we did, and I want to say thank you to all our viewers at Lord's Gaming YouTube channel for sitting through, and I hope you all get something out of this interview because it's been very insightful. Thank you both for spending the time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.